All right, fashion dolls, and we're back. Our phone just went out on us, but we're back. We're gonna add Markel back so that we can continue this amazing interview, ladies and gentlemen. We apologize about that, the technical difficulties. There we go. All right, let me add Markel back where we left off. We apologize about that. All right, and we're back.
We are back and popping.
Yes, you were saying about how 2022 has been for you thus far.
Yes, 2022 has been really great. I have no complaints. I think that some of I've grown. I mean, with the opening of this year, I'm completely different. What this past 2 years has granted me in comparison to others, and I just oftentimes I know I guess what I will say is because there is, I don't want to say guilt, but the past 2.5 years has been really, really good to me because it was what I needed, this reset. I needed this pause, this break, to really like reflect on me and what I wanted to do and reconnect with like old work. And I needed to reconnect with that old work to find and discover new work. Um, and so coming into 2022, I feel prepared and ready like I've not been before. And I think like before I felt ready, like I felt like it was time, but I given the break and the time to really like examine my body of work and examine my friendships, relationships, and really, shine a light on me and who I am in those relationships. Like it's not like I really feel like I have a deeper sense of who I am, because oftentimes we get so caught up in the motions of just going through life and just this sometimes, we need that pause to really like slow us down and count our blessings and really, count our triumphs and really re-examine some of those things that we like to call failures and see, how we can get a step forward. Um, and that's what this time has really been for me. And I recognize that it's not been that way for um, everyone else, but it's been what I've I've needed. So
Unfortunately, yes, absolutely. And I love what you said in the beginning, reset. That's literally what that was for everybody. We didn't expect this to come about. It literally was like a reset for everyone to kind of
yeah,
get their minds clear and just think like it affected everybody. So yeah.
it honestly did. It honestly did. So,
All right, so we're
yeah.
gonna get right. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh no 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 no. I'm sorry. I'm walking through this through the building, but yeah.
No, you good. I was saying, tell us a little bit how your journey began. Like, how did your acting journey begin? Because I've grown to know you, and the world has grown to know you from the hit show Free Fall, and also another hit show
Hmm.
Atlanta, alongside Donald Glover. So, and Lakeith Stanfield, we can't forget about him. So that's how the world has got to know you. So tell us how the journey for you began, like where you grew up, and what was the experience like for you getting into acting.
Oh man. So I grew up in a household where uh, gay. Um, so my grandmother used to watch a ton of stores. Her stores was on CBS, so that was Young and the Restless, Bold and the Beautiful, Guiding Light as the World Turns, the whole nine. And I could remember anytime there was a scene that she enjoyed, I would reenact it for during the commercial break. And she would just laugh and laugh and laugh. And I just remember thinking to myself that if given the chance, I would just do this all the time. Um, and that's just kind of how it started. Like it started out as me being the person to imitate the funny, extravagant family members um, during like the cookouts. Um, and I was always kind of like in hiding. Um, is the best way to describe it because everyone would say, well, why don't you go to the YMCA and do some of the drama classes, or why don't you go here and do this? And I was just always afraid. Um, I think I was more so afraid because I was always being picked on for being an effeminate young male. And so I was afraid that this one thing that I really, really, really liked and that people around me who loved me said I was really good at doing, that people would laugh at me for doing that and that would like deter me. So I waited. I literally bottled all of that up and would only cut up around my friends and my family. And it wasn't until like I became a senior in high school that a drama teacher, one of my cousins was like, "You should sign up for this drama class with me." And I was like, "Okay, cool," and signed up for this drama class, and it literally changed the my whole trajectory. Because prior to this, I kind of pushed theater away, and I said that I was literally in my mind I was going to become a forensic pathologist. That's what
Ooh.
I was going to do. I know that's what I was going to do. Um, I grew up in a time where CSI was pretty big, but I that kind of solidified the kind of like science nerd um, in me because prior to that, I had it was something that I was interested in even before that show had came out. So I was like, oh, I'll just kind of like do science because I was afraid. But then it took that one moment, that one class, my senior year, and it just really like opened my eyes to what art could be because it was the prior to taking that class I had never read a play. I had seen plays here or there, but I never knew that acting extended beyond imitating a real life person or imitating what you see on screen. I think
Mm-hmm.
all of us can recognize we have our own movies that we can recite word for word, and so that was always in me. But I didn't know that it could mean really taking on a character. And this drama teacher was teaching us in high school how to break down a script, like script analysis work. Like, what is it that your character wants in this scene?
Mm.
Like, she was real serious about it. And I think that running into her at that time, it was like, it was time for me to come out, to reveal that side. I wasn't ready to come out. But the, the drama nerd in me was ready to come out, like, during that time. So it was like, okay, let's go. And then everything else just kind of fell into place after that. Because once I showed people what I could do, um, everyone was so interested in seeing where it could take me or where I could go that just people, even when I wasn't really necessarily thinking about the next step, I would always run into someone who's like, "Well, what you gonna do? Because you did that thing and that was really good. So what's up?" So it was almost like whether it be God, whether it be the universe, whatever that is, was constantly reminding me you have to do something, and that led me. Um, it would eventually lead me to Atlanta, and I did the Chitlin circuit for a while, and I grew from a lot of talented people in that circuit, and then moving through that circuit, I met a well-known writer here in Atlanta by the name of Paris Creighton III, and Mr. Creighton was like, "Hey, yo, you got to get in there and start, you know." get into some community theater, and then once you know kind of like move up the ranks of community theater, you need to start working with some of these actual professional theater houses. And it was just about, I guess my journey, in other words, has been about community. When I really think about it, because I've learned so much through other people, and the knowledge that other people had, and how they've been able to kind of like guide me here. And I think once I really ran into Mr. Creighton, things really just kind of like changed, because he really helped me fine tune a plan. And this is how you do this if you want to do this seriously. Because in my mind, and it's not, and I don't want my words to be misconstrued, because there's serious work that's being done on the indie side of things and the Chitlin circuit and all of that. But I didn't realize at the time, but I didn't have a vision outside of that. Like it was just, I would have just worked in that circuit forever, um, thinking that I could just move up the ranks, just working that circuit. But it wasn't until I ran into him, and he was like, "Well, you can, but you have to have a plan in place, and you have to meet these people, and you have to kind of like cast your net wide." I wasn't thinking that big, because I come from a small town, and we just didn't think outside of the community, this tight knit community that we built for ourselves. So it took me running into people like um, Paris, and the Miriam Khalid's in my life, that helped me kind of, well, not kind of, they just helped me expand my viewpoint, my POV, on what artists could do. Because I didn't, prior to running into these people, I didn't think about, I guess, longevity. I was always, and I still fight this to this day, I'm always a short term person. Like I'm dealing with now, we get so caught up in the now, which I think is a good thing. But I don't think about what this now thing could potentially grow into for long term.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and those people just help me kind of like nurture that longevity aspect of it, and the body of work that you ultimately want to build on, that resume that leads you to more complex jobs. So
And you have a very extensive resume of work. I was going through your resume, and when because you mentioned theater, and you did one of my
mhm.
favorites, which was Julius Caesar, and you did
Yes.
so many others. So doing theater and Broadway, and you did television work as well too.
Mhm.
What is the difference like for you? Because when you're on Broadway, when you're in your element, like I could think of so many people who've done Broadway, like Shirley Ralph, Kiki Palmer, so
Mhm.
many others that have done Broadway. It's a completely different experience than taping a television show. Like if you miss a line or you miss anything, the audience can catch
Yeah.
on to that. And the key trick is to not let them know that you missed the line or you messed up anything, because it has to
Right.
okay, it has to run smoothly.
Yes. 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 And I've done also. I've not done Broadway just yet. But I'm gonna let you speak that right into it. Existence. I've done off Broadway, and off Broadway. But yeah, the difference is, I think, with theater you get one shot, and you get one shot in that moment, and um, going back to that idea, the idea of now, you get one shot to get it right now in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
And any artist or any upcoming artist, you use that because that helps to up the stakes. Nothing is interesting unless stakes are raised, and that onus is not only on the writer, it's also on the actor to raise those stakes. And what I mean by that is it's only interesting if you're walking into the building, but you're walking into this building knowing that this building is about to blow up in a minute, and you need to save the love of your life from this building or something like that. That raises the stakes. It makes it more than just walking into a building. And when you're talking about theater, you have to, it's just really about trust. It's you and your scene partner and partners as this play goes on. And so if a line is missed, hopefully I catch it and I'm able to put us back on track. And if I miss a line, hopefully you're able to catch it and put us back on line. But whatever
Mhm.
it is, as you say, this boat, it got a ship, it got a sail. You know what I mean? This plane, it got the soar. And even if we crash during the process, we still have to make it an interesting crash. So I think I like theater in the sense that the stakes are just automatically raised and you automatically get that instant gratification because the moment you walk on stage, you know how you're doing because you can feel the heartbeat of that audience. You can feel when you lose them. You can feel when you confuse them. You definitely know when you entertaining them. You know when you're on pace and on that rhythm, when you have them at the edge of your seat.
Yes.
All of those things. Um, and all of those things are kind of missed whenever you do TV and film. Um, uh, but TV and film for me, my work has for TV and film is so much more informed from doing theater because you talk about free fall. Um, I met Pierre um, at a time where I was kind of like emerging and just so hungry. I'm still fighting to get that hunger back. Um, I met him at that time where the show was what it was. I honestly I hadn't even seen. I obviously as a gay person have heard of the show, right? But I had never seen the show, so I really didn't know what I was kind of like getting into. Um, and there have been times on that set where with budget or with the amount of hands that you have at your disposal, you have to do intimate scenes sometimes, and the sound person is literally laying in your lap because maybe they don't have the piece of equipment that they really need in that scene in that moment because they forgot and left it here, and they need to use this boom mic, and but they don't have the stick, and so they have to hold it at your feet. And so for me, what theater has allowed me to do, because I'm used to performing in anywhere from 150 people to 1,000, people. I'm not bothered by that boom guy that's like lingering right behind me. I'm not worried about the light person that's getting it right or that's kind of like intruding, beneath the scene. I'm not worried about, oh my God, I got to cry here. Just because of what theater has gifted me. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Of working live in front of a live um, audience. Um, and TV is just not. TV is more intrusive because I can remember one of the first big roles that I had, and it was I had to cry in this moment, or not have to cry. We always say have to cry. It's a choice, but I had to be emotional, and the director called cut, and he walked over to me, and I'm thinking, oh shoot, like I done did something wrong or whatever. And he kind of looks at me and then he turns real quick and moves over this bottle or something that was in the shot. And to me, that explains TV in every sense of the word. It's more about the frame. It's more about all of these
Mm.
other little small things that really have nothing sometimes to do with the work. Whereas with theater, an actor, friend of mine described it perfect. It's one wide shot the entire time. So you're not hidden by anything. If I mess up in TV, we can call cut, and as long as I'm within that window that they're given, that the studio has given them to shoot this particular scene, I can go over and over and over
Kind of.
as much as I want,
Hmm.
right? But as far as theater is concerned, you just get that one shot. You get that one shot, and that's it. And that is really like the excitement of it all for me. So,
Yes, and with free fall, like when the with the production of art house television and everything, it we couldn't tell that there was no mistakes. The way the show was produced and
oh man,
premiere to the
yes.
audience, we couldn't tell anything.
Right. I mean, his eye, I mean, I don't have to say. I mean, when you look at all of his work, I mean, can you really tell the difference between his work and someone that has $1 million backing? You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And that to me is the inspiration that I think that all of us emerging artists should have. You know what I mean? You look at Pierre, and this is nothing against it because he's extremely talented. But you look at this guy who had a vision and a dream, and you look at what he's been able to cultivate over this span of time. And anyone that is that determined and has that vision, and has that underlying talent can do just that. That's the inspiration of that is that we don't have to have you don't have to have like this $1 million budget to produce $1 million goods.
Exactly.
And that's what Lamont showed with that. And I mean, and when you see him work. I don't know if you've ever got a chance to meet him or see him work, but if you see him work, he works and moves very fast, very fast. Sometimes as an artist, and I'm pretty sure, we change over time, but when I knew him, sometimes you have to slow Lamont down and be like, no, Lamont, that shot wasn't it. Give me one more go. That wasn't because
Hmm.
he like, no, we got this baby. It's time to move on. Like, no, one more. Just uno más. Like, but yeah, I mean, like his and his fast that fast pace, as you can as just as you mentioned, it doesn't shorten his quality at all,
At
at
all.
all. But he moves, and I think that that's the other beauty of working in this industry, right? Like you run into so many different personality types,
Yes.
and so many people who work so differently. Like Lamont is very fast paced, and he has this uncanny trust in his artist. If he hires you for the job, the expectation on his part is that you're doing all the work that you should be doing. You know what I mean? And that's why he
Mhm.
comes in and he moves so fast because it's like, hey, no, I'm trusting you, I've entrusted you with this. I entrusted that you did this, and this, and that you know your lines. Let's go. It's time to rock and roll. And then some people are more personable with it and want to see, like want to rehearse and da 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 da. And all of those are great. It's just interesting working with the different directors and writers
Yeah.
in this industry. So
And speaking of working with different directors in the industry, we were also had a reoccurring role on another hit show, Atlanta,
uh-huh.
alongside Donald Glover and Lakeith
Yep.
Stanfield. You played the role of DJ. Tell us what was it like getting the call to portray this character, DJ?
Oh man, that was my first role, like on like big role for TV. Outside of I'm gonna crank up my car. I hope it ain't gonna be too loud. Um, that was my first role that I booked with my agency. I was with this company. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. That was my with the agency. I had been with this agency maybe 3 or 4 months. And I I had submitted for this audition in the middle of a theater show, and it had probably maybe 2 or 3 weeks had gone by. I had connected with this girl that I did the show with. She was Moroccan, and she was flying back to LA, and I I was actually we were spending that last day kind of like together before she left, and right at the end of that meeting, when I was sending her off, I got a email just before she hopped on the train saying that I had booked the Atlanta show. So I remember both of us like screaming and squealing right at the MARTA train station, and we were even dancing and all of that stuff. And right, it was exciting. At that time, I didn't know what to expect. This was the second season, so it was even harder, right? Because they had already set this bar. So the amount of talent that they had, submitting for these roles, and I just, for me, it was I knew that I had to show up and show out for that because this was the second this was going to be its second season, and so I knew that everyone that was going to be in this particular episode was going to be bringing it, and yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. It was the first time that I got to sit in for a table read. Um, and for those of you who don't know what table read is, just that it's a soft read
Go over
of
your line.
the
Yeah.
yep of the episode, and they want to make sure the writers are looking for timing. And I probably shouldn't say this, but someone ended up getting fired from that table read, and I didn't know that could happen because I didn't know that could happen. And they ended up flying someone out to replace the person who had got canned. So it was a whole lot. I was getting broken in so many different ways. Um, but that episode, everything about that particular episode was amazing because I got to work with a friend of mine, and we had only known of each other in passing through auditions. We would always run into each other at auditions for theatrical work, like theater projects. And we also had a mutual friend in Paris. Um, but she was there, and she thought that she had signed on for like this completely different role. Um, but come to find out, she ended up having like a huge role that would take the course of like 5 days to complete in this particular project. So I just ran into a whole bunch of like really like emerging artists at that time who, as far as Atlanta is concerned, is who's who amongst the black talent. So it was just amazing because that episode is and anyone out there who may want to check it out, it's the Atlanta season 2 episode 7, and literally all of Atlanta who's who black talent is in that particular episode, and it was we just all were kind of sitting back watching each other work because it was like a master class um, of what to do and how to be present in a scene. The director of that scene was this female actress that I have a crush on her work, and she came out to give me some direction, and I was trying to hold it in and be professional because I was like, oh shit, this is the person that I whose work I really 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 like. And she gave me some really good notes that I was able to work in, and it was just that experience was just an amazing, amazing, amazing experience. It was
And
amazing.
we've got some comments from the viewers as well too. Shout outs to our girl Iwa Spa, businesswoman and skincare owner. Please go and check her out. She
Oh,
wants
nice.
to know what is a good direction for a good agent. And she says she filmed like 13 films in Louisiana. And she
Oh,
says she
nice.
knows someone that is in Atlanta that's shooting Creed 3. So,
Oh, nice.
what advice would you
Nice.
give her in direction to go look for a good agent? That's what she wants to know.
First, make sure that they are, credible. I think I'm going around this person. Make sure that they are credible. And how you can do that is always check to make sure that they're registered with SAG, and that they're registered with the Better Business Bureau, right? Um, and then beyond that, I would say look at their roster. When I shopped around, that was what was gifted to me. A friend of mine told me to check their roster to make sure that check their roster to make sure that they didn't have too many people who look like me. Check, um, ask them questions in regards to how do they go about their representation. You know, how do they go about um, getting their clients the work? Because it has to extend beyond, um, you know, getting a casting notice and then trying to push your talent. Um, to me, it's about the push. It's about what are you, what's the sauce that you're putting on top of my
Yes.
headshot when you submit me to this job that's asking for goon number one. Like how how are you how are you marketing me beyond just the headshot? And that's a conversation. I like, and then also the other thing I think, my first rodeo, I wanted something very small. So I went with a boutique agency, and that basically means that they don't have talent. It's like under 300 or 250 and under, because I didn't want to just kind of like be a face. I didn't want to be a collectible, like a whatnot sitting on the shelf. Not for that first, couple of years. Um, and that's what I needed, and that's what I felt comfortable with. So that's what I went after, and I was able to have a really strong relationship with my very first agent, um, and know the difference between a boutique agency and a top agency, like a house. Um, it is a little different, and know that the name is gonna hold a little different, right? Because
Yeah.
a large agency that's been around for a while, um, they're just naturally gonna have relationships that they've built within the community that they've made a home. You know, and that means that they may weigh a little more than maybe like a boutique company or a startup. Um, but that shouldn't. But all of that should be the reason more that you go with an agent that you feel is really going to fight for you in the room, um, and also it's going to help build up your own um, ind- um, independence as an artist,
Mm.
um, because sometimes you'll get with agencies and they'll make you feel that it's one-sided, and that relationship is never one-sided. It's collaborative. You are the talent that is going in front of these casting directors that have a job to do, right? And if we look at it from like just a business standpoint, casting directors have a problem. They need to fill a role. Us, we are proposing to be the solution to that problem. And that's what you
Mm.
need. You need to figure out how to be that solution to their problem. And the outside of that is that your agent should be helping you acquire the tools to be a solution to these casting needs. And so you want to make sure that all of that to say that your agent is not being tight-lipped about certain terminology and about how you should conduct yourselves. Sometimes agents want to do everything on their own without cultivating their talent with certain strengths to go into a room and be able to be present on their own. So all of those little small things are very important too, because I've recently had to learn, um, how to be a little more aggressive about kind of like being an independent artist, even though even though I'm definitely represented by a great um, agency, but sometimes you do have to take the initiative to reach out to a booking agent if they haven't sent you if you
Mm-hmm.
booked a job and they haven't sent you your information. You can't always rely um, on your agent for those small things. They're small, they're big, but they are small, because it's like you can do that, and you have to keep in mind. I think that they are not just representing you; they're representing a ton of other people. So
Yes.
sometimes things can fall through the cracks if you're playing it safe by just kind of like handing everything over to the agent. So sometimes I think uh, always maintaining that hustle mentality is a safe bet. It's a very safe bet to making sure that you're still fighting for that dream. Because I think that sometimes when you get an agent, I think we just naturally say, okay, well, we don't have to work as hard anymore. I'm going to let them kind of do like the heavy lifting. You still have to do the heavy lifting. You just need to find someone that is going to make it easy for you to do the heavy lifting with. Um, because if you get complacent, um, then so will your auditions will get stagnant. So will your work. So I think
Mm-hmm.
it's just doing your research. It's no different than what you would do whenever you're going in to interview a company. I think one of the best things that I learned early on about doing interviews is that I'm not going in to do an interview. I'm also going in to interview that company as well to see if I'm a good fit for them. I want to know, what their history is, and I want to know what their booking ratio is. I want to know what do other actors, other artists, or other employees um, in that field, what do they think about this company? What have they heard?
Other reviews.
How,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, because some companies pay quicker than others. Um, you know, and that's also something to consider in our neck of the woods too with agents because if you read those contracts, sometimes they have up till 90 days or more to pay you. And then if something happens, then in that contract it stipulates that they can wait even more time. So those are things to consider, especially those of us who are reliant heavily or solely upon um, your work to pay your bills. If you're one of those lucky individuals who don't have to have a fourth and fifth job to make ends meet. So I would say to that person, just do your research and really ask, the hard questions about, how they intend to, um, market you and put you out in front of these casting directors in this particular area that's been around for a while. How are they going to set me apart? That's what I would say.
And she's in the Atlanta area. She just moved. She said, I just moved down here. I'm kind of new. I'm fairly new. And I'm
Hmm.
looking to get out here and promote my work, my projects, and figure out
Oh,
ways
that's
that
good.
I can find a good agent and a booking team and management team and things.
I'd say start with Jay Purvis, um, Jay Purvis, Houghton, um,
Line Stars Agency. That's one of the boutique agents. People Store. Um, Alexander White.
Oh yeah.
All of those are really, 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 really good companies to start on the basis of research, and then narrow down the companies that are a fit specifically for you, and then figure out. I would say apply. I learned from one of my best friends, Mr. Anthony Gooseby, that
Oh yeah.
you don't
Great.
always follow the rules. You don't always follow the rules. So what I do, how I break the rules is I play it safe by honoring the rules, and then I do something to break the rules. So, for instance, if they say they only want you to apply to the company um, by mail, I'll get my whole package together, and then I'll mail it to them. But I'll also find out from a friend an email of someone who works for this company that can get things done, and I'll also email that person by digital package, right? And then I'll find out someone else who works at that company, and I'll email them also my digital package, you know. But sometimes you have to, know how to break the rules as
Oh
well.
yeah.
Yeah,
She wants to know, can she message you and would you send her the names if she inboxes?
absolutely, absolutely.
All
I
right,
have no problem.
networking,
Right,
networking.
right. Hey,
All right, and speaking of networking, you've also won some awards too. You won some accolades.
I
You won
have.
Best Major Supporting Actor, which is the MAT Award.
Uh-huh.
Winner of the Reader's Choice, Creative Loafin Atlanta winner. Like you have so many up under your belt, and I know it's not about the awards for you, but all of this hard work. What is it like for you when you're on set and you're in that mode, in that moment? What's running through your mind? Like, oh my God, I know everybody's
Oh,
watching me. I know my family's watching me. So, what's
yes.
running through your mind when you're in that space, in that or in that moment?
Um, all of everything that you said. I think it depends. I have not been on. I have not been on stage in a really long time. At this point, it's been probably about, well, maybe right at 2 years for like stage work. Yeah, so I can't imagine what would run through my head now. But prior to that, it would really just be the nerves were different. Are different after you've been doing it for such a long time, as I'm pretty sure you know. It's just very different. It's making I just for me I think I want to hit all of my beats. If he's supposed to be happy and upbeat in that opening scene, I just want to make sure that I knock it out of the park. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, what do I need to do in this moment to make sure that I do hit that particular beat? And then I'm thinking, so and so ain't say that line the way I wanted them to last time, but that's outside of my control. What can I do to make sure I still hit my spot while still listening to them? What can I do? It's very different. You know what I mean? Whereas young me, like the new artist in me, like I would be worried about peeing on stage, hitting my mark. Um, really, I would be worried about. Oh God, let me make sure my phone off. Oh, I got my phone on me. I'm not supposed to have my phone. Like it was all over the place. But the now it's just different type of nerves. It's just it's really huh. Therein lies. Um, the young me was more concerned about me and what I was gonna look like, and if I was gonna make a fool of myself, and oh, if I do this, I'm not gonna ever work again.
Right.
The more nurtured, more mature me, I'm worried about everyone else. I really am. Like I'm worried. I hope that I'm going to be enough for so and so to get what they need. That's what it switched to, and so that's what my nerves are now, especially in TV and film. It's like I'm thinking about the other person. I'm hoping that I'm going to be enough for the other person so that they get what they need.
I am Michael Pierce. Yep.
That's my best friend.
Okay, so we're going to do two quick games before we conclude this interview, Fashion Dolls, and we're going to take some questions from the audience. I know you guys have some questions for Markell here. The first one is called the Rapid Five. And Markell, he has
Uh-oh.
to tell us 5 things that he can't live without. And the next one is going to be called His Thoughts. We have one for our female guest called Her Thoughts. And I dropped the names of certain actors, and you have to come up with the word describing that actor. Just one word
Okay.
to describe the actor. Okay, so
Okay.
what are 5 things that you can't live without?
Oh, fashion. Pizza. No, what the hell with pizza? Spaghetti. Um, Money. And brown skin. Yeah, my brown skin folks. My black people can't live without you.
All right. All right. All right, Fashion Dolls. That is 5. That is his 5. I love it all. I love it all. Okay. The next one is going to be called His Thoughts. And I'm going to drop the name of an actor. I'm a famous actor. And you give me the first word that comes to your mind on this actor. Okay, so we're going
Okay.
to start off with some of the people you work with. Um,
Okay.
let's start off with Donald Glover. Of course, Atlanta. One word.
Mhm. Um, Genius.
Mm,
Mhm.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
The next one. The next one would have to be DeAndre Lemons from Free Fall. DeAndre from Free Fall.
Um, I'm trying. I don't know if I got to work with DeAndre directly. Um, Always very nice whenever whenever we were together. I don't think I didn't get to work with him. I don't think directly. I don't think. Um, but everyone, if I could just speak on everyone from that cast, I've always felt extremely welcome, especially being that by the time that I came on to that set, they had already made this thing a huge powerhouse, and I hadn't known it obviously at the time, right? But it was this huge thing that they created, and they could have very well, you know, been a little hesitant about someone coming up, up into their house, but they were all very extremely welcoming. That's what I remember about the cast of Free Fall. All of them, nothing but nice things to say. Matter of fact, me and Jody, one of the stars, are cool to this day. We don't talk all the time, but very, very, very cool. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Next up, Regina King.
Ooh, Regina King. Listen, Regina King. I smile because every time I think about her, I think about 2 things that she was in that I loved, which was 227, and then Poetic Justice. I just her in Poetic Justice for me. I already knew she could act, right, from 227. But seeing her in Poetic Justice, I was like, oh, okay, so you can act. So you can get down with the quick down. You know what I mean? Like I just that's one of my favorite movies, and I just timeless. That's what I think when I think about Regina. Like her work, she's just able to um, come in. I mean, you think about the things that she's directed behind the scenes.
Oh
Like she's
yes.
right, like Scandal, she's directed behind the scenes, and all of these projects that she's pouring her love and her talents into. Yeah, she's timeless.
You all said, did the set for Free Fall feed you well?
It does. You know, he would have, some sandwiches, and some chips, you know. Now, mind you, like when I came on, it would be my scenes because my character, was a man of the night. So whenever I would come on, it would be like really like late. I think I had two scenes in the daytime with the cast, and it was one that was with the entire cast. And then there was another scene in the daytime, but most of my scenes were at night. So I missed out on all of the good food. Um, yeah,
She said Louisiana set food is the best.
I bet. I was just in Louisiana a couple of weeks ago. There's this place called Pee Wee's. Oh man, like hey, shout out to Pee Wee's. Pee Wee's, you need to come to Georgia. You need to franchise. You can branch out. That Pee Wee's, I was there for like a week, and I probably ate there almost every day.
It's that good. And from New Orleans, Louisiana, that they use a lot. From what I hear, they use a lot of. It's the food there is very spicy. I've never been to
Oh,
Louisiana, but I think my
really?
brother would love it because he likes spicy food. He loves spicy
Oh
food.
yeah, you gotta go. I love spicy food too. Spicy food is just that. Yeah, that's my. That's what I should. That should have been one of my five. Yeah, spicy food. I did say spaghetti, but spicy food. That's
Peas,
definitely
crab
yeah.
cakes.
Pee Wee's. I must say, don't hurt me. I wasn't a fan necessarily of their crab cakes, but they were good. But their soft shell crab linguine pasta.
Mm.
Oh man! And I mean their presentation. It was like the whole crab was just over on a bed of. Oh man, it was amazing. It was so good, so good. So yeah, that was my jam.
All right, Fashion Dolls, and that's his thoughts. We just kind of went in a sidebar conversation talking about the different foods and stuff in Louisiana. So, do we have? That's the name of the business.
hmm
Pee Wee's crab cakes.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Or
okay. Yes. I just knew it as everyone was calling it Pee Wee's, so that's what I tell the Uber folks. Take me to Pee Wee's.
do we have any more questions before we wrap up this interview? It's so good. We're talking about food and just a sidebar conversation. It's a good conversation though.
Yes, it is.
Iwa says yes. And she's originally from Louisiana. She just transitioned on to Atlanta. So yeah.
Okay. Welcome to Atlanta.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. I definitely did. This is one of my favorite interviews. Amazing interviews. Because I've been watching you since Free Fall. And then the
Wow.
rest of the world got to know you. Yes.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I did not know that. Yeah, this
Yes,
was
I
fun. This
want.
was
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, no. I'm sorry. I was gonna say this was my I really like this interview. This is my first time doing an interview like this, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. I think it's a gift when someone um, is able to kind of like make you feel comfortable to speak and um, and to dive like kind of like deep into your closet a little bit and and show off a little bit of your stuff. So that was yeah yeah I thoroughly enjoyed that. Great gift that you have.
Thank you so much. And that means a lot coming from you. Again, I've been watching you since Free Fall, and I was just amazed. And then we seen you on Atlanta and Fatal Attraction and so many other projects,
Right.
and then some and then some. So yes, a very prolific career, might I add, in theater and
Well,
in
thank you.
television as well.
Thank
Mm-hmm.
you. Yeah. I've like I said, it's really been through community. It's really been through community and determination because as you've seen, like I've worked through all of those projects. Like through all like I'm sure you do as well, and most of us artists, it's like, we work while we're putting out those love projects and while we're in the midst of our dreams. And yeah, it's been through guidance of really good friends that I've met along the way that might have dropped my name to this person here, that might have gotten me an audition that took me here. Um, which goes, I'll say to to people, because I talk to a lot of young kids, and the expectation is always money.
Mm.
Um, it's always money, and it's so surprising. And I'm just so glad that I was raised. My father had a hand in it, but I got to shout out the women in my life. Like the way that they raised me was more. It wasn't about money. It was about the opportunity to get to the money. But it was also about what are you getting from it? What are you gaining from the moment? And a lot of this stuff I did for free and would still do for free this very day, because the wealth of
Oh yeah.
knowledge, the wealth of experience that I was able to get from those opportunities. If I would have never had those opportunities, I wouldn't be talking to you. And so early on, a lot of those love projects that I did, they weren't free. I say that they were free. I wasn't paid, but I was paid, in such a different way with, oh, this is how you do this to the camera, or this is how you project, use your diaphragm on stage. So I say all of this to say, don't let a price point be the reason that you turn something down, because what you stand to gain from that could lead you to a project that pays very, very handsomely, or very, very, very well. You know, so yeah, everything that I've done up until this point has been about community, and it's been about a good feeling. It's been about a project that I did with um, with Davian. What was it? Red carpet hashtags and heartbreak.
Yes.
He, oh my God, like he did all of that by. I still can't fathom the fact that he was able to do all of that
By himself.
predominantly by himself. And when I tell you the amount of professionalism, one of those scenes, that club scene, I think when we were all in white, we were there. We had been there all day, like probably from like 8 that morning. We didn't start shooting that scene until like maybe 3, 4 a.m. the next day. But
Wow.
we were so lit because of the amount of professionalism that he had poured into that set. It was, I, I still like, he hit me up the other day. I want to say just last week. Yeah, just last week, and I'm still applauding him for the amount of professionalism that he displays and continues to display, and that is what I'm talking about. Being around those individuals, you can't help but go up, because you learn what this is how you create a team that will literally follow you
Oh yeah.
wherever you go. Because David, if he hits me up right now, I'm there, just because of the standard that he set, and the amount of professionalism and the amount of fun that we had on that set. I, if he hit me up right now, I would be there. And that, just being around that, it said whenever I start my project, I have someone to call upon. I have an experience to kind of look back on and be like, this is kind of like how I want my set to run. I want my sets to be modeled after that. And this dude did not have $1 million budget, but it felt like an ABC or an NBC or MTV was running it just because of the amount of energy and spirit that he poured into it. So, yeah.
We've got one question from Liz Menezes Music, and she wants to know what has been your approach when a door has been closed, and what
Whew.
would you say are your three positive self-motivational mantras,
Mm.
and how influential would you say your upbringing has been in the roles you accept?
Um, Remind me of that first question again, please.
She said, what has been your approach when a door has been closed?
Allow myself time to grieve. Um, I think that oftentimes we just hurry up and move on to the next thing. But I think you have to, some there was a part. Ooh, there was a part on stage, Brother Size. I wanted that part so bad. Don't be mad at me. I'm trying to. The writer of Brother Size, he also wrote what is now a very famous movie, Moonlight.
Yes.
That
Yes, I know
writer,
you can.
he wrote this play called The Brother Size, with Ogun and Ochuzi and all these and Alegba. I wanted that role. I wanted Alegba or Ochuzi. I wanted that so bad, and I came so close. And I remember getting that. I got a email. Well, no, I ended up because I knew me and the director we had played brothers, and in this play called Top Dog Underdog. And I just texted him because I was so anxious and I was just so ready. I needed to know, like, did I have it or did I not have it? And I really
Right.
at this point in the game, this wasn't that long ago. This was just before COVID hit. So it wasn't that long ago. And I thought I was prepared. If I didn't get it, like I thought, I'd be cool. Dust it off, go on to the next thing. Um, but I didn't get it. And he sent like this long text message, outlining, I, I cried. I am not embarrassed to say it. Like I was at work. I was I was a bartender at Cirque du Soleil. I went in one of them damn porta potties. I made a break and I cried in the porta potty. And I think you have to allow yourself, you know, to grieve those
Yeah.
parts, those things that you want, and then let it all out and be able to reflect on how did you do, what could you have done better, to gain
Yeah.
something from that to move forward. And that's what I'll say. Like, I don't think that a door. The thing I would say, I don't think of it as a door shutting or a door closing. Um, because anytime you enter into a room, it's a chance for you, it's an opportunity for you to win that room. So you may not get that part, but you have a chance to win that room over, so that when casting for something else comes around, you're the first thing that they're thinking. Because most when you come in and you are on, meaning that you came in prepared, you had choices ready, and you really knew who these characters were. Um, these casting is kicking themselves that you aren't a right fit for that role. They really are, and that's one thing to keep in mind. Like you have to, because sometimes it really is politics. Sometimes it's this, sometimes it's you're older, and the majority of the people who showed out for the role are younger, and it won't make sense
Mm-hmm.
for you to be choosy if the Ogun character that's knocking it out of the park is 20 something years old. I'm 39. So it's like I'm not gonna be able to play Ogun's younger brother if they end up going with this Ogun who is 22. It ain't gonna work.
It's a
You
lot
know?
of ageism in
Yeah,
Hollywood. Yeah.
yeah. It's just not gonna work. And so I think um you have to think of it from that perspective, because at the end of the day it is business, and casting is not going to allow a talented individual to walk out of the room and they forget them, because again, you have on the business side, they always have problems, and that's filling roles, and they want you to be a solution. And taking that mindset, it really, really, really helps. It really helps ease the mind of a quote unquote loss. As
And
far as my
go ahead, I'm sorry. Yes,
I'm sorry,
upbringing has been in the roles that you accept.
yes, upbringing definitely. Um, by the way, that I'm doing something as artists, we're all observers. We someone does something that's very interesting that we kind of like stow away in the back of our minds and say, oh, I'm gonna use this when the right opportunity comes
Mm.
along. Like I'm this little walk that he's doing, this little way that he kind of like looks out of the side of his eye. I'm gonna use that when the time comes. And my grandmother, the rhythms, the way that she talked, um, my just my whole family, the way that they say certain things whenever they're calling for a certain accent, I always try to pull from them, because number one, it's going to set me apart. It's authentic, it's organic, it's uniquely me. And it's a way for them to also see, it's a way for me to take them with me into these roles. So when they do finally see it, like, oh, you doing Aunt Judy, or you doing that thing that
Mhm.
grandma does, or whatever. It's like, and they will, and they see it. And so I take them everywhere I go. I take, but not just them. I take moments, um, that toolbox where we stow away, these isms that we get from people that we encounter, whether it be, at a Waffle House, or I love people watching at the laundromat. I mean, you run into all kinds of people. So yes, upbringing definitely does. I grew up Jehovah's Witness. So uh, technically, be acting. So I can't say that upbringing in that way, probably in the way that question maybe was meant. It kind of allowed myself to go into areas that are most challenging, and that feel if I feel that story needs to be told, I'm gonna tell it. You know, if I feel that the story of some controversial figure is written in a way that we all can gain something from it, and that it's not written just to exploit, certain things. Because it all can happen, right? Like you get those roles sometimes where it's just exploiting gay sex, or exploiting nudity in some way, or exploiting a kiss. It's unnecessarily placed. But if it's well written and it is a story where we all can gain something from it, I'm gonna tell it. And that is not really dependent or somehow constrained to how I was raised or how I was grown up. But definitely the people who raised me, and the people um, that I came into adulthood and came into my independence around, they come with me on stage and on film
all day, every day.
And it was one more, and that was, what are your 3 positive self-motivational mantras?
I'm not a mantra person. I'm getting into that. There's one thing that my best friend, Mia Monet, um, we grew up together. Micah Pierce, I grew up with him. The three of us were just like inseparable when they were all here in Atlanta. Um, he told me one day, um, what did he say? You didn't book it to be in the back.
Mm.
And it's just that, I remember him telling me that, like over and over and over and over and over. And his voice is constantly with me whenever I'm doing an audition that is very heavy on my heart. And you know, those projects, like those things that can really just take you to the next level. It's like, okay, I'm not doing this to be in the back. And so what that automatically signals to me is I'm not doing this to play it safe. You know, I'm not going to give you the take that I know you would like. I'm now, while you have me in the room, let me show you what I can do, and let me show you how I would do this. And it may not work for you, but it may work for something else. And that particular mantra, if you will, that voice that constantly plays in the back of my head, just reminds me to be fearless. And because if I'm not gonna get something, I want it to be me not getting it at my best, not because I took the cowardly route of, just kind of coming in and kind of sort of making you laugh and kind of sort of moving you. I just go big or go home. So yeah. But yeah, like, I haven't gotten into the whole mantra things. I think that's just my main kind of like go-to. I do have a couple of another quote that helped me. It was by this anonymous person. Um, I was having actors, we have our tics, and I didn't realize that after every line, sometimes I was saying "tuh." It's like this. Yeah, I'm going to the parks. And but I didn't know that I was doing that. And I remember being so frustrated. And that was one of the things that I had put on my vision board as I walk out of my room. Stop the tuz and the uhs. Like, I literally had that on a piece of paper so I would see it. And that wasn't quite helping. But then I read this statement, and that someone made, this quote that someone had made online. It said, before you go out on stage, look in the mirror and ask, is it human? And as simple and corny as that is, for me, it clicked. It was like, you're right. Humans we don't naturally do a "t" or a "k" or these little jerks after we speak. So for me, it was that one quote that literally kind of stopped all of those "t's." And I also, no lie, when I would deliver a line early on, I would look to the right. I would just deliver my line and look to the right. I don't know why, but just all that one little quote. Before I go out on stage, I look in the mirror and I ask myself, is it human? And all of the characters that you play will come from a human place. And that thing just helped me it helped me tremendously. So
Not only that, but it's that connection. Once the audience views it and they see it, it's like, okay, I can relate to this character in
yeah,
a way. This
yeah,
character is like, these are things that I've went through in my life. So they
mm,
want to have some connection with the characters.
yep, exactly. Exactly.
All right, fashion dolls, do we have any more questions? I think the chat might have stopped. Yep, I think that's all. If we don't have any more questions, I'm going to let Mr. Markell take this interview out because he was dropping gems throughout the entire interview, both of us together. That healthy conversation, amazing conversation. Um, my last question for you is, and then we're going to wrap it up and you can let everyone know where they can follow you and check out your projects if you have any coming up. What advice would you give to someone who's looking to get into acting?
There's so much advice out there to be had, but I think, what I wish I would have known is the easiest way to get into acting is to get into a class. I'm gonna say that again because sometimes we don't want to hear that. It doesn't mean that when someone says this, it doesn't mean that you don't have natural talent. It doesn't. It doesn't mean it has nothing to do with you. But what it has to do with you is that even those of us with the natural gift, when you're in a class, you're able to hone it. You're able to control it. You're able to build that skill that makes you definitely an unstoppable individual when it comes to your craft, when it comes to your approach to this thing called art. When you have someone who's seasoned, that's able to challenge you and able to take you to task, you can only grow. And not only that, in acting class, you'll meet those people around you who are going to inspire you. You're going to meet someone who um, ends up doing this thing that you've had difficulty doing, and something clicks when you see them do a scene. And acting, a good acting teacher at the end of it is going to have agents come and watch your work. So most of that work is going to be done, right? Because you go to this class, you learn how to build that skill, and then at the end of it, they're going to bring agents to come and see you do a showcase. And so it could be this kind of like a situation where you end up leaving with a skill and an agent, and with a group of friends um, who are gonna make sure that you are well informed and that you know all of the theaters in town, because the thing is, everybody wants to be around talented individuals. They just do. And they're going to hold you to task constantly, because the moment you show what you can do in a class, they're going to constantly be hounding you. Well, why aren't you coming? You know that they're doing seasonal auditions, at the Alliance Theater. You need to go. You need to do this over here. They're doing this. You're constantly informed when you're in a class, because these teachers want to put you out there too, so that they can say, oh, he's in my class. So classes are geared in a way where it can only help, not only you build your skill, but you build that community, and that you learn what's happening within that community too. It's just so much, so much that you can get out of class, and so many in all of those questions that you have will be answered within that class. And again, it's you run into so many people who are on your same level, and then people who are very well seasoned, and so you just get a pool of people answering those questions, and you get so many different POVs. It's just go to class. That's what I would say to someone looking to get into this business. Start with class.
All right, there you have it. And there's so much knowledge out here. There's books that can help you.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Kevin J. Stone. He was saying that there was a book about becoming a great actor out here. So check that out. Look for that. There's the internet, of course. There's so many things out here where you can go and prepare yourself into getting into acting if you want to get into acting or directing. So, yeah.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. As far as following me, I'm on Facebook as Markell Williams. I'm on here as Markell Williams. So I don't post much. I'm old. Uh, I'm trying to get better with the posting. Um, I really am trying to get better with the posting. Um, but but yeah, I do try to keep Facebook and IG updated with new projects. As far as projects that I have coming up, I don't really have a projects that I can speak about. I don't. I will say, um, look out uh, for some new shows coming out on Disney Plus. That's all I can say. Um, and
All right.
see if you could spot me. Um, but yeah, that's I do have stuff coming out, and as I can say what those projects are, just look to my social media pages, and I will post them.
All right.
Yeah,
Fashion Dolls, there you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, Markell Williams, it was such a pleasure having you here. And don't be a stranger. I would love to have
I
you back
won't.
again.
Anytime, anytime. Thank you
Okay.
so much. I felt welcomed. I wasn't a nervous bone in my body, which is scary because you got a lot out of me. So
And it was informative, and I hope you guys that view this took something from it as well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow joining us, we have Eugene Smiles. That'll be at 6 p.m. So make sure you guys tune in for that. Liz says, congratulations on the project.
thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if we don't have any other questions, we are going to wrap up. Special thanks to Markell Williams and each and every one of you for tuning in weekdays here on Style by Stevie at 4 p.m. Make sure you guys stay tuned and follow us. And follow everyone here. Make sure you guys follow each other in the comments. Take care, everyone. And you guys, please be safe out here. Stay safe. Make sure you guys are being aware there's pollen that's out here. So make sure you guys stay safe, protect yourselves out here. It's crazy. So take care, everyone. And
All
thank
right.
you for tuning in.